All right, we're back for part two of the 997 seat install into my 986. I got the car flipped around here, passenger side over on this side so I can open the door. Going to take out this seat, going to slide it forward and back to take out those bolts, and then we'll take a look at the wiring. The wiring on the passenger seat is not as straightforward as the driver's side seat. So the passenger seat out of the 986 looks very similar to the driver's seat. Everything's pretty consistent there. You have the heating seat element and the power recline and the seat belt. Out of the 997 seat, we got a bit more going on. So looks like that previous owner, he thankfully labeled a few things for me, but we have a few wires not connected. We have this plug here, which won't be plug and play with that harness like it was on the other side. So swapping over that harness in the box I think is still doable. I'm going to have to do a little bit of splicing into these. So what I'll do is I'll take off that box and harness like I did in the other one and start pulling these things off, taking off these zip ties, disconnecting these, trying to make heads or tails of what we got going on here. This box, not sure what it is, it says ECU on it, so I'll be removing this. Doesn't seem like it's needed. Trying to take off all these wires. Looks like it might be for like a seatbelt light or airbag for the passenger. This looks like a pressure sensor maybe. Got some stuff going on here, so I'm gonna see what I can strip away, try to get rid of some weight. This seat does feel quite a bit heavier than that seat. Again, I'll weigh them, but first I'm gonna start to do some stuff with this wiring, get that cleaned up, see what's going on, and then I'll probably weigh it. All right, I came to a decision on what I'm going to do with the wiring. So after taking a look at what they have going on here, I think I'm going to actually take the easy way out. I'm going to skip the heated seat component and just hook up the power recline, as well as the seat belt, of course, but I'm going to cut this out, skip this whole unit, and on the existing seat here, I'm going to cut the power recline wire here and take as much of this with me as I can. So everything else on this harness here that leads up to this connection, the box, taken with me so I don't have to cut those. And I will take the seat belt with as well. And the only piece that will be cut is the power recline. The new seat feels quite a bit heavier than the existing seat. I was hoping I'd be able to take out some of these, what I believe are the airbag sensors in here. There's 4, the front and back here. I think that's what's given the seat some of its weight. I took out the ECU box that was over here, this guy right here, but this weighs almost nothing, surprisingly. Almost feels hollow, so there must be just a light electrical component in here. So that didn't help. The seat still feels pretty heavy. To check how heavy it is, I got the scale over here, and we're actually going to weigh the existing seat versus the new seat. And then I have the driver's seat here as well. We'll just weigh that just to be sure. Might even pull the seat out of the Boxer, the driver's seat that's in there now. Might even pull that out and weigh it just to be sure, just to know how much weight I'm actually adding with these seats. The driver's side seat did not feel as heavy as this passenger seat. So I think with some of these sensors, the airbag sensors, it adds some weight to this passenger seat. As you can imagine, it's not that easy to weigh these seats on a small scale like this. So I have a floor mat on the scale to protect it. I'm lifting the seat up and trying to get it to put all of its weight on one of the rails and get the scale to read. So I've done this a few times, and what I'm seeing is this is around 33 pounds, maybe all the way up to 35 pounds. So let's throw the new seat on and see what that comes up as. New seat, trying to get it to balance here. On this, it looks like it's going around 53 pounds about. Again, this is far from scientific. Trying to balance the seat on its edge without holding it. Also getting around 45 pounds. Doing this a few times, trying to get an average, trying to make sure getting this balanced perfectly. Looks like around 45 pounds again. Yeah, around 45 pounds. So the seats are about 10 pounds heavier. Not as bad as I thought. It feels heavier, 10 pounds heavier than the existing seat. So if I'm just adding 10, 20 pounds, I can live with that. That's not that bad for the extra comfort and the newer looking leather. Now let's get the stock harness removed and switched over to the new seat. Passenger seat is all wired up. So now it's time to make some brackets for the front here and weld those on, and then spray paint all of this to clean it up a little bit. So we have to go through the whole process we went through for the front seats. I'll make the brackets, we'll put the seat in the car, tack those brackets in place on both sides, pull the seat back out, weld those brackets on fully, paint them, and then we'll be able to put the seat in the car. Now it's time to make the brackets for the passenger seat. The dimensions that we need is we need a 12mm hole, 5mm from the front, and of course centered. And then this piece needs to be about 2 inches long. And at the 1 inch mark, we're going to bend it to 140 degrees. That will match the bracket that's on the existing seats, and we'll be able to weld it onto the new seats. And this is what we end up with. So I'm going to take the punch tool and punch a divot right where the drill bit should go, and then we'll start drilling. I have the metal in the bracket here. See where we drilled that hole. Got my 2 lines marked again. So we're going to be cutting at this line to make a 2-inch bracket, and then bending at that line. Not too bad of a cut, but we'll take off this burr here and smooth this out just a little bit. Now we need to bend this to 140 degrees. So I'll hit the top with a hammer here and keep checking it to see if it's at 140 degrees. I cleaned up some spots for the welding clamp here on the side and on the side here. So now it's time to put the seat in the car with the brackets, get them lined up, and tack the brackets into place. I have the seat in the car, some weight on the seat to help keep it down while I tack that in place, the welding blanket, towels. So we're going to tack in this mount first, and then we'll do the one on the other side. Paint's dried on the bottom of the seat, so it's back in the car. We're able to connect the electrical, and we'll put the back bolts in, then the front bolts. The seat is fully bolted down. I reconnected the battery. Let's see if it works. All right, it works. Perfect. So, going to give these seats a nice clean, and then I'll go for a test drive and get a little bit of seat time in them. I might drive it for a day or two, come back, and I'll tell you guys what my thoughts are on these seats. All right, so I've been able to use the seats for a couple days now. There are really no downsides to these seats. The extra cushioning is much appreciated. They obviously are in much better condition. They're much better to look at. So if you're on the edge about doing this to your 986, I would say go for it.